This is another Paranormal Planet news flash. DC's UFO lobbyist on alien spacecraft claims, I quote, "This thing is getting ready to blow sky high." Stephen Bassett says the allegations of an ex-intelligence official bring us closer to disclosure. Interesting stuff, guys. There's new stuff happening behind the scenes. It's been a few busy weeks for Stephen Bassett, Washington's veteran UFO lobbyist. Early last month, an ex-US intelligence official who once worked with the Department of Defense's Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force went public with claims that the federal government has recovered non-human spacecraft. The former official, David Grush, does not claim to have seen the crashed spacecraft himself. Rather, in an interview with The Debrief, he said he had heard accounts of their existence over the course of his work. And in an interview with News Nation, Grush went even further. Quote, "Well, naturally, when you recover something that's either landed or crashed," he said, "sometimes you encounter dead pilots. And, believe it or not, as fantastical as that sounds, it's true." End quote. A Pentagon spokesperson told ABC News that the UAP task force, quote, "has not discovered any verifiable information to substantiate Grush's claims." Meanwhile, according to Vanity Fair, a number of other news organizations, the New York Times, the Washington Post, and Politico, were approached with Grush's allegations but did not publish them. But for Bassett, who has spent more than 2 decades trying to get official Washington to take UFO issues seriously, Grush's claims are monumental. "I mean, Jesus Christ," Bassett says, "this thing is getting ready to blow sky high." Washington recently caught up with Bassett at the Washingtonian, a news source, mainstream news source, recently caught up with Bassett for his thought on Grush's allegations and how they might impact UFO-related issues in Washington. They asked him a number of questions like, "What do you make of Grush's claims?" And his response was, "Absolutely legit, 100% legit. He was at the task force. His whole background is legit. So the idea that he would make up false reports for non-existent people and take that to the DOD, it's a 1 in a million shot. So it's legit, period." They asked Bassett what's the significance of the claims he's made. His reply, "In other words, Grush is saying, yeah, we have alien tech. Yes, we have crashed vehicles. And yes, we have bodies. It's not a surprise to me. The people in my world have been stating this and putting the evidence forward that we've had these vehicles for years. Now, Grush just confirmed it. Well, this was a bomb going off, and that really sets a lot in motion and creates a lot of problems for the Senate Intelligence Committee and for the White House because they are not ready to deal with alien craft and bodies." When Bassett was asked, "Where do you think the issue goes from here?" his reply, "Senate Select Committee on Intelligence Chairman Mark Warner is in a really tough position now. Grush has put the Christmas tree up, and Congress has no choice but to start hanging ornaments on it. They have got to get those witnesses in front of the committee as soon as possible, or this thing is going to become completely out of hand. So the next thing that is going to happen is that Warner, or possibly Warner and Senator Marco Rubio together, will make a formal announcement and a press release that hearings on this will start on such and such a date." They asked, "In light of Grush's claims, how far away are we from what you call disclosure or the confirmation by the U.S. President of the existence of extraterrestrials?" And his reply, "Once they get the witnesses to testify, which would almost certainly include Grush and anybody else prepared to testify directly to ET technology in our hands, which means Roswell was real, which Grush has alluded to, 2 weeks." 2 weeks, they asked him, and his reply, "From the day the hearings start, because here is the situation. The hearings are going to probably be the most watched hearings in history. So hundreds of millions of people are watching this testimony unfold. They are watching these questions being asked. The media is going nuts. Articles every day. Groundbreaking. After 2 weeks of that, what are you as the U.S. President going to do? You've got to go and make an announcement and say, look, I've talked to the Secretary of Defense. I've talked to the key congressional leaders. I've watched this testimony, and it's pretty convincing. I think that we now can be assured that, in fact, this is non-human in origin. Or Biden might say, extraterrestrial presence, but it is non-human, and it's not our tech. That's disclosure. Capital D, bingo, that's it. End quote. He goes on to say, what's going on right now and has been going on, it's not about finding out what this phenomenon is. None of it is about finding out what the phenomenon is. They already know what it is. They've known for decades. It is about setting up the scaffolding for the president to formally confirm the extraterrestrial presence. It's about setting up the disclosure event in a way conducive and positive and good public relations. It's similar to what we do when a president is inaugurated. The president is elected in November and inaugurated in January. And so for many days, they spend a lot of money to build this huge scaffolding on the western side of the Capitol building for people to sit and watch the stage and everything so people can participate in the formal passing of power. The difference is that, unlike the presidential inauguration, the scaffolding of UFO hearings and the White House statements does not need to be taken down. The scaffolding will remain in place to deal with the post-disclosure world that happens the instant after the president makes that confirmation. So there you have it, guys. Very interesting interview with Stephen Bassett, who has been in Washington fighting the fight for many, many years. And I thought I would bring you this latest and greatest of what's happening. I'm still putting together a full-length video that's sort of tracing the origins of all of this in the most linear way possible, from the crash retrieval programs, Grush's claims of the first retrieval in 1933 in Italy, and that being brought over to the U.S. sometime during World War II and having been facilitated by the Vatican. All of that is crucial, detailed information that I am having to include, so it is taking a bit. Until then, as things progress, I will be releasing these newsflash videos, and until then, keep your eyes to the skies and keep your fingers crossed that disclosure keeps on rolling.